Good morning. It's Sunday, June 21st. Thanks for joining us for News 8 this week. We've talked a lot about the impact of AI, in particular when it comes to the job market, but we haven't talked about how it's impacting cybercrimes. The FBI just released a report on cybercrimes in the U.S. Here's what it shows. Overall, reports of cybercrimes are going up. So are the financial losses associated with them. You can see those numbers on your screen right now. And that trend is reflected in the buy state. But what about AI's role? Well, more than 22,000 reports totaling $893 million in losses were tied to the technology. AI has helped make business email compromise, romance, employment, and investment scams more believable by creating more realistic emails, profiles, or even voices. We talked with Dr. David Utsky, a former cybercrimes technologist with the U.S. Treasury, about how he expects this trend to develop and how you can protect yourself.
All right, Dr. Utsky, let's get right into it here. I want to first kind of get your sense of this FBI report that shows just how many sort of crime reports, internet sort of crime reports there have been and the losses associated with them. Was this something that surprised you, or was this something that you said, yeah, and it's only getting worse?
More of the latter. My comment to it would be that it's the surprise being that it's taken them so long to insert that into their annual report, the IC3 report. Having formerly been a federal agent myself with the Treasury Department, working extensively with the FBI on a number of high-level things, as well as other agencies, I would get farmed out a lot. The context of the issue has been there since 2015, early 2016, in terms of the rise and occurrence of cyber attacks and cyber crimes related to artificial intelligence facilitated technology crimes.
What has changed most recently? Because I feel like it's been maybe the past couple of years where we have really talked about AI in a lot of different contexts, but it sounds like it's been around for a little while. Has something changed more recently that has really kind of changed the game?
I think part of what's changed is the number of occurrences, as cyber criminals have obviously educated themselves far more quickly than the general public. So that's one factor. Another factor has become the size of the occurrences. The materiality is increasing in value.
Are there changes in the perhaps scams themselves, either in, okay, what's the trick here, or perhaps it's the same old stuff, but just done in a more sophisticated manner?
Yeah, that is the key question that I typically have to highlight, is that when you take a look at cybersecurity, cyber attacks, the weakest point from the beginning of time has always been the human involved. These AI facilitated attacks, it's not the technology, it's its ability to socially engineer the human to get them and manipulate them to do what they want them to do. And artificial intelligence is certainly making it more realistic than ever before. But even if we go back to the 1930s, and even back to, you think of the old Westerns and the snake oil cells, folks, people bought into, were socially engineered and bought into the frauds that were being perpetrated. And AI is just another tool to socially engineer the public to take advantage of them.
Yes, you reference, a long history there, and it probably goes back even further.
Oh,
into
certainly.
ancient times, I would imagine. If there is sort of this human element that is always at risk of being socially engineered, perhaps tricked into something. It almost sounds like, well, it's just sort of hopeless, but it can't, we can't sort of think about it that way, I imagine. We have to think, okay, there is a way to protect ourselves. Um, are you thinking about that? And is AI able to help us protect ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely there is. Again, this has been an ongoing frustration for me for 40 years, is that many people, and especially working in the government from both a military perspective, which is more, I hate to pit the civilian side to the defense side of the government, but the military has always been far more proactive in terms of adopting technologies for defensive and offensive purposes. On the civilian side, it's like, well, we don't consider it a problem until we actually find an occurrence of it. And so trying to put up defenses in the law enforcement, legislative, and regulatory environment, they're just part of its resources, part of its education. They just can't wrap their heads around advanced technologies as quickly until they've actually encountered it. So it just brings about and many of the laws from the legislative side are written in a way that you can't really prosecute the crime until the crime's occurred.
In a practical sense, what can just people do? Do you have advice for folks who are at home listening to this, perhaps very interested in like everything you've just talked about, but also realizing, hey, at the end of the day, this is, I just don't want to be scammed.
Right. Well, everything that you've been told from your bank, from your phone company, about fraudsters trying to take advantage of you are going to hold true even in the face of AI. I mean, we have, for instance, affinity frauds that occur. I've dealt with things with local sheriff's office of people being taken advantage of for tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars related to puppy uh, scams that take place. Defrauding people of their assets in that way. And then, of course, you think of the romance affinity events. AI is using very sophisticated software like GANs, RNNs, things like that. Those are the different AI technologies that get used in generating these very lifelike resemblances of Obama on Twitter back in the day, now X, to say, hey, send me campaign donations so that I can win the next campaign. Brad Pitt saying, hey, help me out with this, nonprofit effort to help save the children in, whatever country that might be advertised. All of those, you have to just remember, I'm human. I'm the weak link here. Maybe I need to do a little more due diligence than just be empathetic to the cause and jump in and start giving your hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands, or even your $5, $10 donation to folks. It's kind of like what we grew up being told by our parents. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And you just have to be very careful about that. And, from a preventative standpoint, we have vulnerable populations, the elderly, the children, and you see legislators constantly trying to pass laws. It's not about laws. It's really more around creating guardrails. And one of the things that I've pushed both in my book that got published this year on the technology behind digital assets, and I talk some about AI and quantum, but even in my conversations with legislators and regulators over this year and years past, is really around, and they recognize that we're not well suited from a technology perspective to really handle these things. And what I've proposed over the decade is really an SRO, a self-regulatory organization that would stand between the regulators and legislators to the public to be, a guardrail.
So much good information. You went very deep, and I really appreciate that. Hope it gives people a better understanding of really everything that's going on, especially behind the scenes. Thank you so much for taking the time this week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up in about 6 minutes, we'll look at Davenport City Council's strategic priorities for the next year and a half and how this is a new approach for the city. We hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. Let's get you ready for the rest of the day and the week ahead with your accurate forecast. Welcome back. The City of Davenport just released the City Council's priorities for the current term. This is a new process for the council. It lists not only its strategic priorities, but also what it calls its operational pillars. Each pillar has a list of 5 to 10 more specific action items. We talked with City Administrator Tim Gleason about how he helped develop the document and how he'll turn council's vision into reality. Tim, great to have you in the studio once again.
Thank you.
We are talking about the City Council's strategic priorities document. I want to understand if this is new and different for the city.
A little bit different. So every couple of years when a newly seated council, they always share what their vision is for the community. I think in the past it's been more so the city administrator's document. This time it's truly the council's document. What is their vision for the community? And this was priority one for me when I was the interim city administrator, to make sure that council was onboarded properly.
So talk to me about why that's so important, because we were talking before the interview about sort of the chain of events essentially that stem from a document like this.
Yeah, so we have a 2-year cycle for all the elected, so not staggered cycles. So when they're seated, they are hit with the budget that's going to be approved a couple of months after they're seated every 2 years, and it becomes a priority. It also is a priority for the staff, so that we understand fully what council at a high level, what their vision is for the community. And I think it's best that this be facilitated by a professional group. There's a team building component here. We had 5 new elected out of the 11. And it's an opportunity for them to grow as a team and be better prepared to do the business of the city.
Yeah, you mentioned that sort of the team aspect a little bit. There's history within the council, certainly if you go back maybe just a few years. How does this sort of help bring that council together and sort of coalesce the ideas that they each may have for their own wards?
It was an opportunity for them to spend a couple of days together, away from the dais, away from doing the business of the city, a set agenda. It was an opportunity, and this might sound like it's not a big deal, but it was an opportunity in a more casual setting. Yes, it was a council retreat, but a more casual setting where the council members got to know each other a little bit better, during the breaks and the breakout sessions, and then come up with a document that we're talking about that truly is very impressive for the community.
So let's dive into it. What kind of things are in here that really, I imagine all of it, but what's the practical impact eventually that it has on people who live in the city?
It truly is the marching orders to staff. That council, understand that they represent wards. We have a couple of at-large council members, but the community as a whole belongs to every single one of those council members. And it is their vision for the community. A lot of times it's infrastructure, economic and community development. And this document was not dissimilar to what you probably see in most communities across the United States, but it was an opportunity for our elected officials to communicate to the residents what their priorities are at a very high level.
How does the council and the staff basically drill down. So when there's a point in here that says, we got to make changes on the neighborhood block level, right? How do you get to something that actually helps check that box and move that needle forward?
Yeah, so finding those actionable moments or those things that we can check boxes for. You might drill down in some instances that it's this specific part of town that you want to improve, whether it's provide additional amenities, improve parks. You could see something that is not definitely in the weeds, but is not just that high-level goal that you see typically in a document like this. And again, if we have some flexibility as staff to deliver these different categories back to the council, they're able to say to the constituents, this is what we've delivered. This is our victory lap in these different categories.
How does the funding for all of these ideas work? I imagine there's some things that are just part of the normal budget. If there is a vision for fixing a street, there's a budget for that, and you sort of have to allocate it every year. But there's other things that maybe are above and beyond, and would there be a requirement for new revenue streams?
There could, and I've been in situations in other communities where that exactly was the case. But here, this is an opportunity, and I think an outcome here, and it was not exclusive to this, but you definitely heard that asphalt and concrete projects, road projects was a priority of this council, among other things, but that's probably the one that rose to the top. And it's my responsibility, along with the CFO and the Assistant City Administrator, to share, okay, council, if this is your priority and you want $2 extra million put towards roads in construction 26 and construction 27, then it's going to take away from these other areas. So it's an eyes wide open type of moment when we're having that conversation with the council so that they fully understand the impact of their decisions or the direction that they're giving staff.
Second to last question, how do you want people to judge the city on how well it executed this? So if I'm showing this to folks and they say, okay, that's what they want to do, at some point you're going to have to deliver on that. How do you want people to look at that?
Well, we do a community survey every couple of years, so that's a piece within the survey. Really would like the residents to take that seriously. While we have had very good response in the past to our community surveys, I'd like even more. And then also, you have access to myself, to other city staff, obviously to the elected officials. Let us know what you're thinking. And, there's a lot of great ideas out there in the community and would love to hear them. Let's explore those and see if they might be successful for us.
Very good. Tim, great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll wrap up the program when we come back. Stay with us. All right, finally this morning, a Davenport Mexican restaurant is raising the price of its Taco Tuesday deal after more than 12 years of a steady 99 cents. Matty Fran shows us why the owner has to raise it and why he's keeping it as low as he can.
For more than a dozen years, Azteca near 53rd and Brady has offered 99-cent tacos every Tuesday.
I remember him doing the menu and coming up with the deal, but I don't know how long ago that was.
Eric Villapando kept up the tradition when he took over the restaurant from his dad.
People can honestly come in and not have to worry and stress about spending their last dollar here.
Oh my God, it was so excited, people here.
Erica has been serving Taco Tuesday crowds for about 7 months now.
Yeah, every week normally is the same people coming on, but sometimes it's different people coming.
But everyone is feeling the squeeze of higher prices.
Every utility bill has gone up.
Maintenance, labor, beef prices, it was all too much.
We just want to make it sure that it's just this healthy, sustainable, long-term business model.
Even tortillas for free chips and salsa are getting pricey.
But now it's getting to a point where it's like, no man, it's It's actually affecting us now that everything rose up.
While he has to raise the tacos to $1.50, Villapando doesn't want to price anyone out.
Hopefully, you know, keep this tradition alive.
Growing up in California, his mom could afford to feed his family of 6 with this same kind of taco deal.
And that's still in my mind, and I still want to do something like that for people here in the Quad Cities.
Erica expects some diners will be upset, but others will carry on the weekly tradition.
This is a really good quality. Probably the people thinking about it's a really good quality. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna pay like a 50 cent more.
Despite the challenge, Villapando says he wants to keep offering one of the best deals in the Quad Cities. In Davenport, Maddie Franz, WQAD News 8.
Now, Villapando says the price increase does not take effect for another week or so you can still get those 99-cent tacos on Tuesday. All right, that'll do it for News 8 this week. Thanks for watching this morning. Have a restful Sunday, everyone.